Welcome to New York.
I made it here.
You made it. You made it. And welcome to the 92nd Street Y.
Thank you.
We're really happy to have you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the book. It's a book about life and loss, and also a lot of joy, and certainly legacy. And it's 40 years since the first book, Elvis and Me. So I'm curious, why did this time feel good to have this book come out?
So much has happened in my life, and I figured that this is the time. I'm a lot older, and I wanted to write this book and put down my memoir and all the things that has happened since, and the stories, my daughter, just my life, and since Elvis has passed.
You write in the prologue, it's interesting that you write in the prologue near the end of the book that writing the book has been a learning experience.
That what? Oh,
It's
writing.
been a learning experience.
Yeah.
How so?
Because I go back in time. And the things that didn't mean anything at that time means a lot to me now. Of course, I was a lot younger. I'm a lot older. And now I appreciated my life so much more in that I was able to handle things that a young girl, I don't think, could handle. And I think that, I started reading the book, and then I started going through the pages, and I said, gosh, and this after all this time that I've had it out, and I go, wow, I'm proud of myself because I made it through some ups and downs that we all go through. And I have a lot of love and a lot of care and a lot of thankfulness for my friends, and all the experience, whether good or bad, that have entered my life, I have learned from.
Is part of writing it also talking to the other people in your life and loved ones, family, friends,
Not
and
really.
hearing their takes on things that happened
No.
30, 40 years ago?
No. That's just my story and my experiences with, I don't have that many in there, and a few of them have passed.
Right.
In fact, most.
Right. And that notion of writing a book about everything, warts and all, so to speak, before you started, does it take some kind of bucking up in yourself of, okay, if I'm going to do this, there's some really hard chapters to write, and how does one prepare to do something?
You don't really prepare, because you're getting into it, and all of a sudden you're facing it, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to put this down, right or wrong. It was just relief for me. It was more for me, really, than anyone else, is to get all this out.
And you had that feeling right from the start, or is that something that kind of came?
No, it was right from the start.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the compelling themes in the book, it seems to me, and there are many, is how to live a private life in the public eye. I know that's a mouthful, and we could talk for a week and a half just about that. And then through many interviews I've done, I've talked to musicians and actors and so on about this struggle, so early on, you talk about how you talk to your mom all the time, and your mom, I think the word you used was a guide. In a world that was not a world that she was in show business, that kind of thing, is there early on, can you get advice from her about how do I manage this, or others perhaps?
No, not really, because my mother, would come to visit me. She didn't live it with me.
Right.
Of course, I was at Graceland, and my father and mother came to visit a couple of times, and she never really lived the life. I mean, and I didn't want to give her part of my life. I didn't want her worrying about me. I didn't want her to, she already had, 4 other kids, and I didn't want her to, worry about me, and knowing that I left at an early age. And so I didn't tell her or share with her a lot of things.
And you start the book with the decision, I have to leave this marriage. In order essentially to be me, and I'm paraphrasing there, I need to do this despite the fact that I love this man.
I did, and very much, and still do.
Right.
I just needed to escape, really, into my own world. I lived his world. It was his people. It was his guys. I, lived with, had 5 guys around all the time, because that was Elvis's, rep pack.
Right.
And I liked them all. I got along with all of them, but I felt that a lot of it was taken away because the guys were always around. Elvis always had guys around, no matter what, which was fun. But I was the only woman. I was the only girl, and I didn't get a lot of the jokes, all guy jokes. But we would do basically had the same. We would do the same thing every night. Was go to the theater, the movies, and we would see all the first run movies before anyone else did,
Right.
and which Elvis loved, and he enjoyed doing that because it got him away from thinking and just focusing on the movies and we did that almost every night. And then of course during the day I have still a love of horses. So, and he knew that, so he got me a horse and surprised me with a horse, and got jealous because I was having so fun going up and down the hill of Graceland, so he had to get a horse. And so the two of us would race down the front of Graceland, and of course all the fans and all the people that were seeing us out there would stop, and there'd be rows of cars on both sides of the street watching. So he never really had any downtime, and people were always around.
Right. So in the early chapters of the book, as you write about this decision to leave, is there anyone you can go to and for any kind of advice in terms of how do I do this? How do I deal with this?
Good question. I didn't want to share it with my mother,
Right.
because my mother, of course, and my father would be very concerned. And I lived with it for a while and just realized that I really have to find myself. I really have to leave. And the most difficult thing was to tell Elvis that I was leaving. And it was when we were in Las Vegas. And we had gone there to see a couple of shows there. And I went there specifically knowing that I was going to have to tell him that I was leaving. And it was, we had gone out to a show the night before, and I knew if I was going to do it, I had to do it then because, I knew I had to leave. So it was the morning, and I was getting ready to go back to LA, and then I just, told him then, I said, I have to tell you something. And I hate telling you this. And I said that I have to leave. And he thought, meaning leaving then.
Right.
And he said, yeah, I thought you told me you were going. And I said, no, I have to leave our relationship, our marriage. Mm-hmm. And he went, what are you talking about? He called me Nungin, and it's short for Nungin. Nungin is youngin in the South. So he would call me Nungin, and he said, Nungin, what do you mean? What are you talking about, And I told him that I had to find out who I was. I lived his life. I had no friends of my own. His friends were my friends. And I started dance classes and started to have friends of my own that were mine. And really it was like freedom, like, oh my gosh, there's other things in life. And they would go to the movies. They invited me to go to the movies, and a couple of them had parties, and a few of them lived down on the beach. And I got to feel what it was like to be with other people my age, and felt like all the guys were with Elvis, and I really had no one for myself.
Right.
So I veered off in that direction.
And moving to California was a big part of that? Or
Not really,
relocating?
because Elvis had a home in California.
Right.
And when he would do movies, or when he was going to the studio and recording, and we would live there at our home. And then when that was done, we'd go right to Graceland.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're out in California, you're a young mom with Lisa, and in the book you write, I wanted her to grow up with a normal little girl's life. Mm-hmm. Not easily done, I would imagine.
No, but I had a couple of friends who was not in the Elvis's group that were my own friends that had a couple of children around Lisa's age.
Right.
And they were not in the business. So Lisa became friends with a couple of those kids, They weren't, like I said, in show business.
Right.
Their parents weren't. And just to give her an idea of what it was like to kind of be free on her own and have her own friends instead of having the guys' kids.
Right.
So it started out that way, and then she started having her own friends, and then we'd go back to Graceland, and then she would then had friends also there with the guys' children. So she had both sides. So she was able, I just needed to give her a normal life and show her what a normal life was. It wasn't always, going shopping with Dad, or Dad, taking her for rides and taking her on we had a couple of, what do you call it? We used to go racing. Thank you.
What was it?
A golf cart. We had a golf cart.
By the way, I'm getting help now from the audience. What was it again? Go-karts?
Golf cart.
Oh, golf carts. Oh, right.
Yeah, it's a golf cart. So I would take her out in the golf cart, and we'd, go all over the grounds, and like Elvis used to do. He used to do the same thing. I'd be on it, I'd take her with me, but he was afraid because it was kind of rough what he would do. He's a guy, he was going all over, and I thought, okay, I can't take her on these kind of rides. So I would take her out on the golf cart and ride with her.
As I mentioned, the book has a lot of joy in it as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And one of the sweetest moments in the book, this is years later, is after Elvis has died, there's a moment where there's a video playing, and all of a sudden you realize that your daughter and Elvis are singing at the same time. Where was that?
Yes.
How did that come about?
I was in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, it was beautiful. And Lisa kind of kept it from me. And
She's about how old at this point?
Lisa was about maybe 15, somewhere around
still
there.
pretty young.
Yeah, somewhere around there. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But yes, and it was so beautiful. That was Lisa's idea, is to sing with her dad. And it came out great. I mean, I didn't even realize I didn't realize, that I knew she had a love of music, but I didn't really realize that that's what she wanted to do when she grew up, is to be a singer.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the first things that she did when she entered into, when people realized that she was, a singer, and then she told me that she was going to sing one of her dad's songs, and she picked it out, and the rest is history. Is beautiful.
Yeah. You point out in the book, or you mention in the book, that you became aware that Lisa might never really get over the loss of her father.
Right.
And I'm curious how that manifested itself as you were raising her as a single mom.
I found a letter from her that she basically was writing to herself, really, and how much she missed her dad, and that all the things that she wanted to do with him, and also, that she feels she missed out. And it literally broke my heart because, that relationship that she had, the closeness that she had with him, meant everything to her. And he played a big role in her life, a very big role.
Do you think there were ever points in her life where she felt, boy, I wish my name were anything, with all respect to Elvis and love for a father, do you think she ever had moments of, boy, I really wish my name were something other than president?
No, she loved having her name.
Every moment.
Use it.
Oh, you use it, okay.
Because now this is when she was younger. She'd get upset when somebody would do something, and she goes, I'm Lisa Presley. You know who my dad is? Now, she was only like 9 or 10 years old.
That's good.
She knew that she had a good name.
Yeah, it didn't go over quite so well when I tried that, unfortunately. You mentioned the horses, and part of the book is about your lifelong love of animals, and hopefully we all love animals, but it was a serious thing for you.
Very much.
How did that come about?
Yeah, it still is. When I was a little girl, before my mother had other children, I was very, very lonely, and I found this little dog that was lost, actually. It was in the street. And I went and found him, and I brought him to my dad and my mom, and I knew my father didn't want any animals, so I took him and I hid him in my closet. My mother knew, but I didn't want my father to know because he didn't want any animals in the house. So I kept him, in the closet. It was kind of hard to do because sometimes he'd go, ooh, ooh, and I go, okay, it's time to feed him or give him a treat. And my father would go to work, and then I would bring him out. And my mother knew, and she said, I think you better tell your father you have this puppy. And I go, I can't, Mom. I know he's not gonna let me have him.
Right.
So I kept him about maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks around then, that in the closet, literally in the closet, ladies. And like my father was gone all day, so I would take him for little walks and things like that. And then all of a sudden, one night, the dog is whimpering, and then my father asked what that was, and I said, and he goes, what is that? That's a bark. What is that? And I go, oh, it must be some dog outside. Because I don't know, it sounds like it's in the house.
Yeah.
So I had to tell him that I had the dog in the closet. It's been there about a week, and that anyway, he went to see the dog, and it was still a puppy. And then he looked at me and he said, you want this dog? And I go, hello. I didn't say that, but I mean, I'm thinking now.
Because that usually works with fathers, by the way, I will say, the hello thing. Yeah.
But he let me keep the dog, and that was my. I talked to the dog. I walked with the dog. He was who I talked to when I was crying or upset with my father, and he wouldn't want me to do this or do that, and he became my little friend. And ever since then, though, I've had dogs. I have dogs right now waiting for me. It's just a part of me. I do love animals. I love horses. I love almost all animals.
For the record, we are not keeping, yes. I just want to point out, not that I'm a representative of the 92nd Street Y, but we are not keeping any animals in the closet at the current moment. In case you're wondering, we rejected that idea.
He could breathe. I had it open a little bit.
But the work became serious when you were an adult, in terms of doing things in California, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the question?
Well, it wasn't just a love, but you actually, put your money where your mouth is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the dogs come first. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, my kids are, obviously Navarrone's all grown. I mean, we know my daughter passed, but they're meaningful for me right now. They're what I love and take care of.
Anyone who's a parent knows, or anyone, you don't have to be a parent to know that no parent should ever have to bury a child. And no one should have to bury a grandchild either, of course. Mm-hmm. And so in that moment, when your grandson Ben dies, and you've had your mom to guide you, do you then take on the role as guide to your daughter in that moment? And how did that, if so, how do you try and get through the unimaginable at that moment?
I didn't, to be honest with you. When Ben died, really, Lisa did too.
Right.
She was so close to that boy, loved him. I mean, truly, almost to a fault. I mean, she wanted to know where Ben was, where did he go, who he's hanging out with. Us, would follow him to see who he was hanging out with, and it was hard on Ben because Ben knew it, and it was hard and it was embarrassing for him because he'd be with friends. So, I had talks with her about, you have to let Ben grow up, Lisa, because she goes, I don't like who he's hanging out with. And I go, but I think, when he starts realizing that you're kind of watching him, that's going to upset him. And she, hung on to that. I mean, she adored that boy. I mean, when Ben passed, I think then that's really and truly, she didn't care about being here any longer. Mm-hmm. That hit her strongly. And she called me a couple of times at night going, Mom, I can't take it. I've lost Ben. And I just go, come on, Lisa, you still have a child, you still have, and you have Riley. And she goes, yeah, but Riley's, she's very strong. And I had to talk to her many times about going in another direction. And then we know the end.
Right. One of the most powerful chapters in the book is about you tending to your son, who's going through not just heroin withdrawal, but fentanyl withdrawal.
Yes.
And you make that distinction in the book. And you put the reader right there in all of its, not gory details, but its difficult details.
Yeah, I knew something was wrong with Navarone because he wasn't coming around very much like he used to do.
Right.
I didn't see him that much. And that was kind of a message to me, going, well, why isn't he coming over? Or how come he's not calling me? And it started really to worry me because that just wasn't like him. And so he was very sick and called me up and he goes, Mom, I'm not feeling well. I don't feel good at all. Can I come over? And I said, absolutely. You can stay upstairs and, that's your room. And he goes, okay, I'm coming over. I'm going to come over in a few minutes. And I said, okay, come on over. I'm here. And when he came, he didn't even look like himself. I hadn't seen him in a while. He'd lost a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. And his face was just like, like not himself. His eyes were like not even his eyes. And they're going, Navarone, what's going on with you? He goes, I'm just not feeling well. And I go, this looks a little bit more like, this is more than not feeling well. I can't talk right now. Can I go to bed and sleep? And I go, okay, go up. I didn't want to argue with him then or get into anything with him right then. So he stayed all night and honestly almost stayed asleep all morning. And I went up to go see him and he was throwing up and had a fever and not doing well. And I go, Navarone, what's wrong with you? What's the matter with you? He goes, nothing, I just don't feel well. This is more than not feeling well, Navarone. I'm really, really concerned. And I said, come over here and let's talk. And he goes, I'm afraid. And I go, from what? What are you afraid of? And then he said, Mom, I've taken something, that's not good. And I go, what have you taken? And he said, fentanyl. And I went, oh my God. After all the things that I had read about fentanyl, he was going through all of that. And he wanted to get off because he knew what was happening to him. Right. So I said, okay, we're going to take care of this. I'm going to call and find out from the doctor tomorrow because this is like 9 o'clock at night. And we're going to find out what to do. And I slept with him. And he would be shaking and going, never, and perspiring. And I'd go into the bathroom and get the cold water and put it on him. And he goes, Mom, I think I'm going to die. And I go, please don't say that to me. No, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this now. And so he fell asleep. And then he woke up in the morning with shakes. And I said, okay, I'm going to take you to the doctor. No. Now, he didn't want me to know at this time what he was taking. Mm-hmm. So then I went into the bathroom and that's where I found the fentanyl. And I said, oh my God, this was unbelievable. So I told him. And he said, yes, he was on it and he wanted to get off of it. So I said, okay, we're going to do this together. And he goes, don't leave me. And I go, I'm not leaving you. I'm going to be with you as long as you have this, and we're going to get through it together. So it was about 3 days that he went through withdrawals. And then on the third day, even into the fourth day, he was starting to feel better. His body started to get clean. And although it was still tough, he was still throwing up and had fever and everything. But I stayed with him and he did not touch the fentanyl because I had already taken it. Right. So he got over that. And that was a trip. I mean, I wish no mother or father to go through with your child. He didn't want to go to the doctor. He didn't want to, he refused. So that's when I said, okay, we'll do this together. And so on the fourth day, he didn't have a temperature. Right. He wasn't perspiring. and I started seeing that he had kicked it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, I don't wish this on any parent. I thought I was going to lose him. I could not sleep at all. I laid there in bed and just watched him sleep.
Yeah.
So, now he's completely clean. He's back to himself, and now he's going out. And, thank God. Yeah.
So what comes through in reading the book and reading those chapters, difficult as they are, both with your son, with your daughter, your grandson, is that, especially with your son and daughter, like what comes through, and this sounds like the obvious, but you are their mother. Okay? That is a mother-son, mother-daughter story.
That's right, yeah.
And many of them in the book are that. And the last name, while important, in those moments is not irrelevant, but kind of irrelevant. Like, I am the mother, my son is in pain, and that's why you sit and look at your son for the days that you did. It struck me, many years ago, I had the blessing of spending an afternoon with Yoko Ono for a profile. It's about 15 years ago. And so we're getting ready for the interview, and she was and I had covered a press conference. She was doing a lot of anti-fracking work with her son Sean in those days. And I mentioned that, and she said to me before the interview started, Sean wants to get a tattoo. I don't really want him to get a tattoo. And I was like, oh, right, she's his mother. We think of Sean and Yoko,
Yes.
And for most of us it's an iconic thing, or of course John and Yoko, but no, she's his mother. And in that moment there was a small, like, all right, that's what a mom might say to. And it struck me as reading many parts of the book, like, no, you're their mother. And that's what the story is about. And yeah, of course, there's plenty involved with the family name and legacy and so on.
Yeah, Neveron is very, very, very sensitive. And that's the thing that I'm concerned about him as a mother, is that how very sensitive he is. He tries to be strong, and, and he looks strong and all, but he's very, very sensitive. And he'll come to me in all of a sudden tears will come down, and I go, Neveron, what is it? Can you tell me? And he goes, Mom, I don't really know. I'm just sad. And I go, can you tell me what you're sad about? He goes, I don't know. I think it's part of me. And I go, so we have to figure out something to do, something that you can get involved in, something that you love. And he started doing music, actually, and then I said, you have to continue the music. And you have to write music, because he loves to write, so he does write music. And it was like, instead of just mourning or having, being sad or whatever, find something that they love to do to get them away from themselves, and find something that they can thrive off of. And that's what we found, and he's doing really well now. But
And there are snakes around as well, yes?
my son collects snakes. Not just snakes, boas. Boa constrictors.
Just having snakes around the house is not, it's not enough? And how does one find out that one's son is a fan of collecting snakes? How does that conversation
No,
go?
he has them in big, what do you call it? Terrarium. Thank you. Yeah, he's got about 3 of them, with about 3 or 4 snakes in each one of them. And he goes, Mom, can you help me feed the snakes? I go, no, I'm not doing that.
That's right. There you go.
You're feeding the snakes.
That's right.
He goes, yeah, but I have so many. I go, well, that's why I'm not feeding you all. That's your job.
I would say that was a wise choice.
Yeah. No, he's been that way since he was a little kid.
Is there a first conversation like, hey, Mom, I'd like to get a snake?
No, he found a snake in our property. And it was it wasn't a dangerous snake, and he picked it up, and it kind of wrapped around his hand, and he loved the fact that it was that friendly. And then he came into the house and go, Mom, look what I found. And I went, what do you have on your hand? He goes, it's a snake. And I go, Neveron, I don't know what kind of snake that is. It could be dangerous. Now, can you go outside and take it out there now and put it where you found it? And he goes, oh, you're no fun.
Well, I mean, it depends on your definition of fun, I would imagine.
True.
Yeah, that was, I'm with you. As a parent or as a human being, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, take that outside to its
That
natural.
didn't do it. That didn't do it. He still has them. He has them. I mean, he has them this wide. I mean, this big, this round. And I go into his room sometimes, and he go, Mom, you want to see what I got? No, I don't want to see it. If it's another snake, I'm out of here.
That's right. But I still some pictures in the book of,
Yeah.
So did you end up eventually
Leaving.
feeding the snakes?
No,
Never.
never.
Okay.
No, I left.
Stayed strong on that, yes? Excellent. That's good. We'll have time for some of your questions in a couple of minutes. And the cards have been going around. Hopefully you've had a chance to write some questions on the cards. In reading the book, it strikes me, again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of joy in the book. But there are crises, plural, and of course tragedy. Did you ever have a sense through the years of, can we kind of just get through 1 year of like quiet? Some sense of like not waiting for the next shoe to drop, so to speak.
Well, you really, how do you do that when you have, a son and a daughter that are very strong-willed, and now, they're old enough to, take care of themselves. Even though both my children were older, they were still like kids to me. So, I've just, to be honest, I've just been there for them. I was there for my daughter, I was there for my son. Did my daughter and I disapprove on things? Yes, we did. It's a mother and daughter. I mean, I spoke my case with her when, she would, do things that I didn't feel, was right. But we still had a good relationship. And then she turns out having a child, thank God. And then she now knew what I meant when I was raising her. And we became even closer because she understood me more now as a mom than she did back when she was a child. Yeah.
That's great.
So.
We have some good questions, so here we go. This is fun. I haven't even touched on your acting career, but that's why we have the questions. You and Leslie Nielsen had such great chemistry in The Naked Gun. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Can you talk about working with him?
Thank you.
And do any memories stand out?
I'm sorry?
And the last part of the question is, do any memories from that experience stand out?
It was the best experience. Oh my gosh. First of all, when I got a call from the director that they, through my agency, William Morris, they would like to meet me. They would like me to be in this comedy, Naked Gun. And I'm thinking, why would they want me? I'm not even a comedian. And I said, I'll go in the interview, but I'm going to have to tell them I'm not a comedian. I had a meeting with them, and they said they don't want a comedian. This is not what this is about. This is it's a story. It's a fun story, which we all know. And I agreed, and I can't tell you how much fun it was doing that movie. The 3 movies, actually. Leslie Nielsen was wonderful, and it's so great when you have someone that you're working with that you like a lot. And he would tell stories about him in the past when he first started his, being an actor, and we got along great. And then we had 2 others, and the movies worked out great. I think there's a new one now with. I'm not in it. Well, I am in it. I'm in the very end. They gave me a little part. But it was good. It was good. It was all fun. Yeah.
So we don't have to see the first part of the movie.
No, just see the end.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you for that. This is an interesting question. What part of your own story do you feel people overlook or misunderstand most?
Oh my gosh, what a question.
Yeah.
Can you read that again?
All right. What part of your own story do you feel people overlook or misunderstand most?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I get some mail, fan mail, that they'll write me and tell me, I left Elvis, and how could I have left him, and he passed, and you wouldn't have passed if you were there, and it was a guilt trip completely. And I've gotten a few of those letters, which is very, very difficult, to read. But to have someone think those things. I had, Elvis passed, and I had nothing to do with his passing. But I mourned the loss of him. I still do to this very day. He was an amazing father, amazing human being. I couldn't find anyone ever to be as giving as he was. I'm going to tell you a story real quick. Elvis wanted to go get a car, Cadillac. We were in Memphis, and he wanted to go to the dealership and go look at the Cadillacs. So we drove down and went into the dealership, and of course the cars are cars are scattered around, and he was looking at a few of them, and there was this black woman who was there, and she was looking at a car and just looking back and kind of going in another area and just looking at it. And now she was poor. You could tell she was poor by the way she dressed. So Elvis looked at her and he said, "Can you come over here?" And she goes, "Is that you, Mr. Elvis? Are you Mr. Elvis? Oh my God, oh my God." When Elvis said, "Yes, ma'am." And so she went crazy. And he said, "Can you just come here a minute?" And she said, "You want me over there?" He said, "Yes, please." So he took her by the hand and he brought her to a Cadillac. And he said, "I'm looking for a car, Cadillac, this one or that one over there. What do you think I should get?" And she, "Oh, Mr. Elvis, you got to get this car. This car is beautiful." And he said, "Really? You think it's beautiful?" He said, "Yes, sir. Indeed, you need that car." He goes, "Okay, come here a minute." So she comes over and she goes, "Salesman, can you come here just a minute?" Came over. And he said, "Can you just give me the keys to this car? I want to try it out." So the guy goes over and gets the keys and give it to Elvis. And he leaves. And he said, "I was going to try this car. I think you should try this car." And he takes the keys and put it in her hands and he said, "Now it's your car." And it was like she looked at him and said, "No, you're giving me, I never had anybody give me a car. I never had anybody give me anything." He goes, "Well, now you have." And he gave her the car and he called the salesman over, wrote it out, and they gave her the key and drove out.
Right.
Yeah, he was very, very giving, very extreme, almost to a fault. Yes.
Most of us will never have the experience of seeing our lives put up on the screen. Mm-hmm. And so this leads into this question. What did you think about the movie Priscilla?
Sofia Coppola did the movie. She had called me up and told me she was going to do a movie about me. And I was like, "Look, Sofia Coppola, oh my gosh, she's done a lot of great work." And so she came, to the house and we talked. And she told me a little bit about, about how she liked my life and liked doing the movie. And we talked for a little bit, and I liked her. I liked her very much. I still do. And so anyway, time passed. And then she asked me to come to the screening of the movie. And I went to the screening. And I thought it was not bad. There was just a part in the screening that I did not like. And that was in my book. I had said that when Elvis and I had said something to Elvis, and he didn't like her, whatever. Now, Elvis had a temper, but he was upset this day, and it wasn't about me. It was about something else that Joe Esposito, who worked for Elvis, had told him. So he was really upset about it. So when I had come in the room, and he was just upset, and I had set off something. I had said something that really upset him. It wasn't really me. He was still upset about Joel, and he took a chair, light chair, not a heavy chair, and he threw it against the wall. Now, I was on this side of the wall, and he threw it. He didn't intend to hurt me. He was just upset, and upset I walked in at a bad time, and he threw it, and it hit me. And he was devastated. He was I ducked, but it didn't hit me in a bad place, like my arm or something. And he was so sorry about it, and was apologetic. And Sophia put that in the book, in her book, and I was a bit upset about it, the way she wrote it.
But overall, you liked the film.
Pardon me?
Overall, but also leading into that,
film, yeah.
Lisa wasn't a big fan, as you write about in the book, of that film happening.
Yeah, no, she wasn't.
Right. But you both loved the latest, it's not latest, it's now a few years, the Elvis film.
Yes.
Why?
He did a lot of research on it. And you're talking about Baz's film?
Yeah.
He did a lot of research. I wish it was longer. They only gave him so much time. And I wish he would have, I wish it was longer. And unfortunately, they didn't give him the time so that which they needed to complete what they wanted to complete.
Right. It's a pretty special performance by the actor as well.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Ladies? Yes. Oh yeah, she's I mean, as nice as can be, really a sweetheart, really a sweetheart. He played Elvis beautifully, really, and he was so nervous when he met me. His hands were shaking, and he goes, "Hi, how are you doing?" I'm going, "Oh my gosh, I don't bite." Don't bite. He goes, "No, I'm just really nervous. You know, I want to do the right thing. I really want this to come across. I want you and Lisa to like it, and I just feel the pressure." And I said, "You'll do fine. You're a great actor. I've seen what you've done, so you shouldn't worry about it. You're going to do good." And he did. He did. Did anyone see it here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he was nervous because he thought the snakes were around. Couple more. As a woman who entered a serious relationship at a young age, what are your thoughts? And or do you have any advice for another girl who is 18 and in quite a serious relationship?
Okay, are you talking about 18 and getting married?
I'm not sure. I'm not trying to read between the lines here. But
because when I met,
it seems like the writer of the question is, I think, 18 and in quite a serious relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I met Elvis when I was 14, actually, and would see him at 14. He would ask my parents if it was okay if I could come over to his place. It was off base. He didn't live on base in Germany. He lived off base, and he had a couple of guys living with him. His grandmother, Minnie Mae, lived with him. And so he had asked, when we had met through a mutual friend, he was in Germany and there wasn't anyone speaking English at that time. Mm-hmm. So he was happy to have a girl that could speak English. And so we started talking. He started, telling me about how, sad he was that he's missed out, with his career. Didn't know if when he came back to the States, if he would still have a fan base. Very nervous about that. And that he didn't know what he was going to do with his career because of that, meaning that he didn't feel he was going to be back as an entertainer. And so, I was more of a listener and really was interested in what he was saying. But he poured his heart out to me, and I felt like, he needed someone to talk to because there was no one speaking English back in the day in Germany. What is the question here?
I don't know, but you're more importantly, you're leading into my next question, which is there's a beautiful part of the book.
Yeah.
I mean, the book is about life after Elvis, essentially. But there's a beautiful part in the book right in the middle where you kind of segue back to talking about that period, and I think you used the phrase easing Elvis's pain. Mm-hmm. And also you talk about how your parents trusted him. Mm-hmm. And that was beautifully written. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, why? How did that manifest itself that you got the feeling from them that they trusted him?
They did, because in Germany, Elvis would come and visit them, right. And would sit down. In fact, it was on my time, to be honest with you, and he would sit down and talk to my parents and stay there for 2 hours, and I'm looking at the watch, I had to be home in an hour. And Elvis really liked my parents because my father was in the military, and my mother was, she was raising kids, And they would sit down and talk at the kitchen table at our place in Germany. And this is when I said that they took my time.
Yeah.
And Elvis was really interested in my dad, how he got in, with his career, being in the Air Force, and how did he feel when he joined the Air Force, because, he was taken, the military, right. Government took him in. So they had long talks, and Elvis confided a lot in my dad. And my dad was called, like the listener, like I was. Elvis would start talking, and you're just sitting there listening and really taking it all in. And my dad would do that with him, and of course ask him questions, of course, that was a little off for Elvis, that Elvis never thought about in his career and even in his childhood. So he became really close to my parents, and I think that was something that he didn't expect. Right. That he'd walk away from the colonel, and my dad was quite strict, but my dad was lenient, a little more lenient, because he trusted Elvis very, very much, and Elvis was trustable. Yeah.
Can you walk into a grocery store or a clothing store or any store and hear "Love Me Tender"?
Oh yeah.
"Heartbreak Hotel"?
Oh, yeah.
Or any of them, and just have okay, I hear the music and I'm going to go get some groceries? Or is there always going to be...
I've never been to a grocery store.
Okay, well, there you go. Hold on, what part of the book is that in? Let me see.
No, I've been to a grocery store, but I don't go shopping.
When you hear the music, is there still kind of a reaction different from hearing another beautiful song?
Yes, I have. I have gone into a store that plays this music. I usually, when I go in the store, I wear a mask.
Right.
But yes, when I go into a store and there's Elvis, and it's a few in California or in Beverly Hills, a lot of times. I've been in a few stores that his music's playing, and it's a little awkward. But yet it's comforting in many ways, because people still remember him and playing the music. And I actually like the fact that they're not letting go. They still want to hear Elvis's music.
Right.
Yeah.
And some kid tonight will hear one of those songs for the first time. And in that sense, there's no old music or new music. There's just music.
That's right.
And the old great expression attributed to Duke Ellington, two kinds of music, good and the other kind. And we know which category this music is in. Last question, and we'll end on a high note. This question from the audience is, you've accomplished so much. What are you most proud of?
Oh, what am I most proud of? My gosh, that's a good question. I think, to be honest, I think it's raising my kids. I think that, as a mom, frightened to death at a young age, having a child and being with Elvis Presley, and not knowing how I was going to, I was young, and having a child at the same time, wanting to I still wanted to be with him. I thought that having a child, I wouldn't be able to be with my husband as much, because you're now a mom. Like my mother, always, stayed with the kids and didn't do much. And I had that fear that I was going to have to, just be with my child and not be with Elvis that much anymore. Because Elvis liked to travel, and he didn't really like children around, which I totally get, because these are guys, and, they're not wanting kids to be around, because if Elvis, let's say, had Lisa, then the other guys are going to say, can we bring their kids too? Right. So Elvis really didn't like having the kids around. So it was, and where am I going with this? Do you know?
Most proud of?
Oh, I don't know what was that. I think I'm most proud of, Graceland. That's what I'm most proud of. When I was told, I was handed through Vernon to now take over if he died. And of course he did. And I had meetings with lawyers, with people who handled the money. I had to, learn really quickly how to do all of this and do it right. And and Vernon had passed, so he wasn't around anymore. And I think I'm most proud of the fact that Graceland became what it is today because I took a chance. I took a chance with people telling me it'll never get anywhere, and you should sell it. And I said, I'm never going to sell it. And I was told many times, you should just sell Graceland. So I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to find someone to help me, because I was actually doing Dallas at that time. Mm-hmm. So I had a friend who told me about someone that lived in Memphis no, he didn't live in Memphis, but he wasn't from Memphis, but I got a hold of him. And I said, can we meet, please? I just talked to your cohort. And he said, sure, we'll meet. Where do you want to meet? I said, can you come to Memphis? He said, yes. I said, I heard, all the things that you've done, and I really like what you've done and what you made of what you've done. I need help with Graceland. And he goes, and what do you want to do? I said, I want to open up Graceland so people can come in and see what Graceland was. And so he said, okay, so you don't want to sell it? I go, no way we're selling. No, I'm not selling Graceland at all. That's out of the picture. So he and I got together, and he found some people that he had that he hired, actually, and we hired. And Graceland is today what started out as maybe having to sell it and not having to sell it, and people are coming in still to this day by the droves.
From all over the world.
Yes, from all over the world.
So it's a place, and it's also a symbol and an idea that people love.
Yes, and it's funny because, the house is exactly the same. Has anyone been to Graceland? Yeah? It's exactly the same as it was when Elvis lived there. Nothing has been moved. The dining room is the same. All of it is the same. I didn't want to change anything. So what you see is what you get that Elvis had. So it's been a pleasure to have the people come in and really enjoy it and come back many times.
No snakes, though.
No snakes.
All right. Just want to state that.
Maybe guinea pigs, but no snakes.
Oh, okay. Well, guinea pigs, they're fine. Well, this is a really poignant story. Softly as I Leave You, Life After Elvis. Suffice it to say, as you can tell from the conversation tonight, there's a lot of heartache in the story, but there's also a lot of hope. And it ends with a lot of hope. And that's no small feat in this life well lived. We really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.